The crystal chandeliers of the Grand Riverside Hotel sparkled above hundreds of elegantly dressed guests who had gathered for the annual charity gala, and Lila Morgan stood near the refreshment table, smoothing down her simple black dress that suddenly felt too plain among the designer gowns surrounding her, and she had borrowed money from her best friend just to afford the entrance ticket because she knew Daniel Hayes would be here with his new social circle. She had spent 3 years with Daniel before he left her 6 months ago, claiming she lacked ambition and would never amount to anything worth his time. And tonight she wanted to prove him wrong by showing up confident and independent, even though her hands trembled slightly as she held her champagne glass. Daniel appeared across the room looking sharp in his tailored suit, with his arm around Victoria Chen, the daughter of a real estate mogul. And when his eyes landed on Lila, a cruel smile spread across his face as he whispered something to Victoria, who covered her mouth with her perfectly manicured hand. They walked directly toward Lila, and Daniel's voice carried loud enough for nearby guests to hear when he said, "Well, well, if it isn't Lila Morgan, still trying to fit into places where she doesn't belong." And Victoria added, "I heard you're still working at that little bookstore. How quaint." Lila felt her cheeks burning as more people turned to watch the confrontation. And Daniel continued his public humiliation by saying, "I wasted 3 years on someone completely useless who couldn't even dream big enough to match my lifestyle. And thank goodness I upgraded before you dragged me down further." The words cut deep into Lila's heart, and she felt tears threatening to spill, but she refused to give Daniel the satisfaction of seeing her break down. And just as she opened her mouth to defend herself, a deep, commanding voice rang out from behind her. Educational moment. Daniel's behavior teaches us about emotional abuse and how some people derive satisfaction from diminishing others to feel superior themselves, which reflects deep insecurity rather than genuine confidence. That voice belonged to Sebastian Kane, the billionaire tech mogul whose face graced magazine covers and business journals worldwide. And he stepped forward with such commanding presence that the crowd instinctively parted for him, while his tailored midnight blue suit and piercing gray eyes made him look like he had walked straight out of a dream. Sebastian moved to Lila's side, placing a protective hand on her lower back, and his touch sent unexpected warmth through her entire body as he faced Daniel with an expression of cool disdain that made the younger man visibly shrink back. And Sebastian said in a voice that carried authority I couldn't help but overhear, "Your incredibly poor judgment." Daniel tried to recover by extending his hand and saying, "Mr. Kane, what an honor. I'm Daniel Hayes from Hayes Financial Consulting, and perhaps you don't understand the situation here." But Sebastian ignored the outstretched hand completely, keeping his attention focused on Lila, whose heart was racing so fast she thought everyone could hear it. Sebastian turned to face Lila fully, and his intense gaze softened as he gently lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a kiss to her knuckles that made the entire ballroom gasp collectively. And he announced, loud enough for everyone to hear, "This remarkable woman is not useless, as you so crudely suggested, but rather she is extraordinary, brilliant, and from this moment forward under my protection." The crowd erupted in whispers, and camera phones appeared from every direction as people rushed to document this unexpected moment, and Sebastian continued, still holding Lila's hand. "In fact, I would go so far as to call her my queen, and anyone who disrespects her will answer directly to me." Victoria grabbed Daniel's arm and tried to pull him away, but Daniel stood frozen, his face turning red with a mixture of embarrassment and rage, while Lila felt dizzy from the surreal turn of events, wondering if this was really happening or some kind of elaborate dream. Educational moment. We learn that true confidence doesn't need to tear others down, and that standing up for those being mistreated shows real character and strength, regardless of social status or wealth. Sebastian guided Lila away from the stunned crowd toward a private balcony overlooking the city lights, and once they were alone, she finally found her voice, asking, "Why did you do that? And you don't even know me. which made Sebastian reply, I know enough to recognize when someone is being treated unjustly. Lila pulled her hand back gently, feeling overwhelmed by the evening's events, and said, I appreciate your help back there, but calling me your queen in front of all those people, and now everyone will think we're together, and the media will go crazy with speculation about it. Sebastian leaned against the balcony railing, studying her with those penetrating gray eyes that seemed to see right through her carefully constructed walls, and he said, would that be so terrible, and being associated with me? And besides, I meant every word I said back there about you being extraordinary. She shook her head and responded, you don't know anything about me, Mr. Kane. And I'm just a bookstore clerk who barely makes rent each month, and I have student loans I'll probably never pay off, and an ex-boyfriend who just publicly humiliated me because he's right about me being ordinary. Sebastian moved closer, and his proximity made her breath catch as he said, first, call me Sebastian. And second, that ex-boyfriend is a fool who couldn't recognize a diamond when he held one. And third, I built my first company from nothing in my parents' garage. So I understand struggle more than you might think. Lila felt tears threatening again, but this time they weren't from humiliation, but from the unexpected kindness of this powerful stranger who had no reason to defend her. And she whispered, why are you being so nice to me? And what do you want from me? Because people like you don't help people like me without expecting something in return. Sebastian reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear in an intimate gesture that made her heart skip. And he said softly, maybe I just want to see you smile genuinely and without fear. And maybe I want the chance to show you how you deserve to be treated. Educational moment. Lila's self-doubt shows how past emotional abuse can damage our self-worth, making us suspicious of genuine kindness and unable to recognize our own value until someone helps us see it clearly. The next morning, Lila woke up to her phone exploding with notifications and messages from people she hadn't heard from in years. And when she opened social media, her face was everywhere alongside Sebastian's, with headlines screaming, Billionaire Sebastian Kane claims mystery woman as his queen, and tech mogul's shocking romance revelation. Her best friend Maya Chen burst into her apartment, waving her phone and shouting, girl, you are literally trending worldwide right now, and everyone wants to know who you are and how you landed Sebastian Kane. And Lila, buried her face in a pillow, wishing the entire night had been a dream. Maya sat on the bed pulling up article after article, showing photos of Sebastian kissing Lila's hand and holding her protectively, and one gossip site had already dug up her employment information, posting that Sebastian Kane's mystery queen works at Chapter and Verse bookstore in downtown, making minimum wage. Within hours, photographers and reporters surrounded the bookstore, and Lila's manager called, saying she needed to take a few days off because customers couldn't get through the media circus, and Lila felt her small, quiet life crumbling under the weight of Sebastian's grand gesture. A knock on her door made both women jump, and when Lila opened it, she found Sebastian standing there in casual jeans and a sweater, looking impossibly handsome while holding coffee and pastries. And he said, "Good morning, and I thought you might need breakfast and moral support." Lila wanted to be angry at him for turning her life upside down, but his genuine concern made her defenses waver, and she let him inside where Maya introduced herself before quickly excusing herself to give them privacy. Sebastian set the breakfast on her small kitchen table, and his expression turned serious as he said, "I owe you an apology, and I didn't consider how my actions would affect your daily life. And the media attention must be overwhelming. And if you want me to issue a statement backing off, I will." Educational moment. Sebastian demonstrates accountability by acknowledging his mistake and offering to fix it, which shows that real respect means considering how our actions impact others and being willing to make amends when we cause unintended harm.